H.R. McMaster, you see on the touchscreen. He joins us from Stanford University's Hoover Institution. H.R., thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad you're with us, particularly on this day. Two questions. First, evaluate what Israel has done. Evaluate the Iranian response such as we know it.
Hey, Major, it's great to be with you. And well, I think what Israel's done is actually phenomenal in terms of the performance of Israeli intelligence and the IDF. And Sam nailed it. I mean, this is an operation, I'm sure, that was at least 2 years in the making to put into place the kind of infrastructure that allowed Israel to just track some of these key leaders in real time, leaders who were relevant to the nuclear program and Israel's efforts to set back the nuclear program, as well as leaders who were relevant to what Iran might do in response and to cripple that capability. In regard to your second question, I think what we have to watch is exactly what as you and Sam were discussing, which is, does Iran does Iran choose to strike U.S. assets, and as you mentioned, that would be, I think, a big risk for them based on the fundamental weakness of the Iranian regime. As you and Sam also alluded to, hey, Iran had it pretty good for decades, Major, because what they could do is use these proxies, and we obliged them kind of by acting like we didn't know what the return address is. The supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, the theocratic dictator in Iran, he kind of blew it last year when he authorized these direct strikes on Israel, and Israel responded with a small strike in April and then a massive strike in October of last year, taking out their air defense systems, crippling their air defense systems, and achieving the kind of freedom of action you saw with, as Sam pointed out, this astounding use, kind of like the Ukrainians did in Russia, the use of drones from deep within Iran, as well as the degree to which about 200 Israeli aircraft could fly with relative impunity and strike these large numbers of sites associated with the nuclear program and the missile program, I should say.
HR, I'm going to have our control room bring up a map for our viewers of where U.S. military forces are positioned in Iraq and Syria. It's roughly 40,000. You're pretty familiar with where they are. Do you consider them at any particular heightened risk right now?
Yeah, of course they are at a heightened risk, and I think what's really important is you saw the U.S. Department of Defense order those out of the region who aren't really necessary, who don't really need to be there from a defense capability. But I should tell you, Major, our air defenses, our missile defenses, are a heck of a lot better than they were even 5 years ago. Remember, with the attacks against the Saudi oil fields, the attacks against the Al Assad air base in 2020 after the killing of Qasem Soleimani, there have been tremendous improvements that you saw in effect in the defeat of the massive Iranian attack on Israel last year. So I think I would be confident in the ability of those forces to defend themselves, and in the ability of the U.S. military to project power in support of those small bases throughout the region. Remember back in 2017 when these Russian mercenaries and the Assad regime must have been thinking, I wonder what happens when you attack an American outpost. Is that actually in early 2018, and everything rained down on them. Because what is important to realize about the U.S. military is it is an integrated air, land, maritime, space, cyberspace capability that the United States can bring to bear.
I'm also going to have the control room bring up a map that shows where our naval assets are positioned. USS Carl Vinson, that's a carrier strike force in the Arabian Sea, 2 destroyers in the Eastern Mediterranean, 3 other destroyers, 2 in the Red Sea, 1 in the Western Mediterranean. What do those assets mean, and how do they posture us in case this thing gets even wider?
Well, they're in a position to impose severe costs on Iran if Iran does act against us. If they do try to fire, the missiles and drones that they have left, they're in a position not only with some of our advanced aircraft and radar systems to shoot down those missiles and aircraft as part of an integrated air defense effort, but also to be able to kill the archer, that's firing those kind of arrows at our forces. But also, what's important to realize so far, Major, is what hasn't been struck in Iran. What hasn't been struck are economic targets. And I think that was smart by the Israelis in the beginning, because Prime Minister Netanyahu's message to the Iranian people are, hey, look at what this theocratic dictatorship is doing to your country and the resources that they have squandered in their efforts to extend hegemonic influence in the region, to attack U.S. forces, drive us out of the region, and destroy Israel. What he did in that speech that he made is lay out an alternative path for the Iranian people. So I think in the near term, at least, it was smart not to strike targets that could worsen the plight of the Iranian people, who are destitute, many of whom are destitute because of the corruption of this regime in Tehran.
H.R. McMaster, I want you to please stay with us. You'll be with us on the other side of the break. We'll chat more when we come back.